Hey, Bio 115 students! Hey, it's Karen Klein again, your instructor, here for, well, the entire course, but here for lab. This lab is going to reinforce your knowledge about acids and bases, the whole pH scale, etc., and so forth. This should look familiar. This is our virtual lab. A little different. There are different materials than with some of the other labs. Now, as always, I hope that, or I recommend you read through this lab before you go ahead and watch this video. The other part to this is that, of course, this is reinforcing some of the material we get during this week as well, not just in lab. Also, download this sheet and you'll be filling some things in. You'll be filling in some tables and answering some questions, and then you're going to upload this to the link in order to get your lab points for this particular lab. And as always, this is as a courtesy for those of you with extraordinarily slow internet connection. And so you can get your points too. You're more than welcome to do the virtual lab on your own. And also, if you do the virtual lab on your own, what's on the sheet that I provide for you might be a little bit different than the textbook or the Macmillan website provides for you. So please answer the questions, the ones that I made up for you, and address those parts of the experiment. So here we are, and a little bit of background. Again, like I said, you should read through this on your own. But as you recall, you have a pH scale from 0 to 14, and anything below 7 is an acid, anything above 7 is a base. The closer you get to 1, between 7 and 1, the stronger the acid. The closer you get to 14, between 7 and 14, the stronger the base. Now, your background sheet goes into, on page 2, there are ways of measuring pH. The best way, of course, is a pH meter. We're in the 21st century, right? And, well, pH meters have been around for quite a long time. However, there are some other ways to determine pH. There are color indicators. Now, there are only 2 listed here. There are many more than this. If you have had chemistry, you should be very familiar with phenolphthalein because you use this a lot to determine pH in chemistry. And it is actually colorless when it is in an acidic solution, and it turns a pretty pink color, a fuchsia magenta color, between pHs of 8.3 and 10. The bromothiamyl blue is yellow when it is acidic, and when it starts approaching a pH between 6 and 7.6, that is, something is approaches a basic or is basic, it turns blue. It goes from yellow to blue. Now, you're going to be using these, or at least the one, the bromothiamyl blue, in one of the virtual experiments today. So that should be lots of fun. We have a few experiments to carry out. The first one is going to test the pH meters versus a color change with bromothiamyl blue as your indicator. So that's pretty cool. You're also, we're going to then test a buffer and the effects of a buffer on hydrochloric acid. As you recall from your readings, buffers are those solutions that when added to an acid or base, they resist the change in pH. They kind of counteract that whole show. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to set up the first experiment, and that is comparing the pH indicator of bromothiamyl blue versus a good old handy pH meter. We have test tubes 1, 2, and 3. One is going to have water, one's going to have vinegar, and one's going to have ammonia. I'm on page 2 under experiment 1. Take 3 small test tubes, place them on the workbench, label them 1 through 3, and add the reagent to each. Below, record the contents for later. We're going to take the pH meter and place it in the first test tube. And we're going to repeat that for 2 through 3. You're going to want to record those in Table 1 here on page 3. Table 1, pH recorded with a pH meter. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to get 3 small test tubes. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to label them. Double click. Come on. Let me label you. I just want to label you. There we go. 1, water. 2 is vinegar. And 3 is ammonia. Thank you. Yep. Me and my silly short attention span. Okay, ammonia. Done. And now we are going to put 10 milliliters in each. Here's water. Okay. Now we don't want acetone. Ammonia actually goes into the third one, so we'll do ammonia. And where is our vinegar? Did I pass it? Hold on. Water, acetone, ammonia. Maybe it's in the brown bottle? Why would it be? No, that's hydrochloric acid, sodium hydroxide, sodium dihydrogen, sodium, we're going to need that for later, citric acid, diluted bleach. Where is it? Oh no, there it is. Okay, vinegar goes into number 2. 10. Okay. Very good. Okay, here's our pH meter. So now record this in table 1. Okay, there's your pH. You want to record that in table 1. Got it? Okay. This is table 1. Here's the vinegar. There's your pH. Very good. And here is your ammonia. There's your pH. Okay. Well, let's leave our put our pH meter back. We'll get it later because we will need it for another experiment. Okay, so for step number 4, what you'll want to do is we're going to add 2 drops of bromothymol blue into each test tube. This is step 4. Record the color and pH of all 3 solutions again after adding this material. Record the answers. And then what you're going to do, you're going to answer these questions. So 2 drops of bromothymol blue in each test tube. And we're going to refer back to on page 2. You see the, oh, no. Examples of pH indicators, the bromothymol blue, as far as the color. Okay. You know what? I think I'm going to put that. Is this going to let me do that? I don't think so. All right. Anyway. So let's do that. Let's get the bromothymol blue. Okay, where is it? There's acetone, ammonia. This, where'd it go? Citric acid, dilute bleach, sodium hydroxide. And again, I always say this, but the gaming bar is like overlays that top shelf. So a lot of times I can't see. That's phenolphthalein, bromothymol. I think it's this one. Actually, I need to move it over a little bit. No, I can't do that. You're going to see me make this bigger so I can get it out of the way of the gaming bar. I'm so sorry. I know this isn't your problem. There it is. Materials can only be added to containers. Okay. Okay, it's next to the, it goes methyl yellow, bromo crystal green, and bromo, okay. I'm gonna, okay, so, okay, here it is. All right. Whoops. 2 drops. There we go. Okay. So record that. Remember, this is your water. All right. There's your vinegar. I spelled vinegar wrong. Yeah. Okay. Yay. I'm not re-recording this whole video because of that. Just know that it was a typo. And there you go. So you want to record these colors in table 1 and then refer to on page 2 under the background where it says examples of pH indicators and the bromothymol blue as far as the colors that the color change and how it does that, what the pH is according to the color that it turned. All right, very good. Okay, we're gonna clean up. You would do this in a wet lab. When I say wet lab, I'm referring to like when you're actually on campus and playing with all this cool stuff. I'm gonna put that in there, I'm gonna put that in there, we're gonna put that in the sink. Okay, let's get back to the water. So our experiment number 2, the phosphate buffer system. So we are going to now test how buffers work. We are basically going to have a test tube of water and 2 substances that we want to test if they make good buffers, the sodium dihydrogen phosphate and the sodium hydrogen phosphate. So we have water in 1 tube, sodium dihydrogen phosphate in tube 2, and sodium hydrogen phosphate in tube 3, and then we're going to add a hydrochloric acid to each, and we're going to see what the resultant pHs are. So we're going to set up our test tubes. We're going to take the pH before we add the hydrochloric acid, and we're going to then add the hydrochloric acid, and then we're going to take the pH afterwards. Okay, let's do that. Take 3 small test tubes, 1 through 3. So one is sodium, and how much are we adding? 5 mLs of each. Okay, hopefully, once again, me and my very short-term memory, hopefully I will remember to do that. So 5 mLs of water. Whoops, I didn't label them. All right, water. Done. Come on, there you go. And that is the sodium dihydrogen, so SDP, let's just do that. SDP, the sodium dihydrogen phosphate. And this is, I didn't write the number, should have done that. Oops, this is 3, and this is a sodium hydrogen phosphate. Done. See if I can relabel that. Test tube 2. Got it. Okay, so let's put 5 milliliters of water in here. Awesome. That's acetone, ammonia, no. Hydrochloric acid, no, although we're going to need that. Sodium hydroxide, no, that sounds. Sodium dihydrogen phosphate. Okay, that goes into test tube. There we go. There's 5. And this is the sodium hydrogen phosphate. And there's 5. Great. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take the pH of each of these, and you want to record this in table 2. So we haven't added the hydrochloric acid yet. Take the pH, and in the second column on table 2, you want to record the pHs that you're going to see. All right, so here is our pH. This is for test tube 1, the water. Here's the pH of test tube 2. Okay. Here's the pH of test tube 3. Now you want to record those, right? Okay. Let's put that on the shelf. Now what we're going to do is we are going to add the hydrochloric acid. So we have to put hydrochloric, it only lets us put hydrochloric acid in a beaker and then dispense it. And I can't remember, I think it's 10 milliliters. You know what, I should check that so I don't screw this up. Yeah, well, I took the, okay. Yeah. It's supposed to be a 50 milliliter beaker. I did a 250. Alrighty. So here's step number 5. Take a dropper from the container shelf and place it on the workbench. 6. Place the dropper into the beaker. Then you move the dropper into test tube 1 and add 2 drops. Okay, so let's do that. Where is our dropper? There it is. Ah, it has to be placed on the bench first. My bad. Okay, it's on the bench. Okay, there we go. I'm going to put 2 drops. There we are. And then 2 drops. And then 2 drops. Whoop, hold on. There we go. Sorry, my dog was rearranging herself on my arm. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to take the pH, and you want to write this in the 3rd column. Wow, that started at 7 and went down to 2.71. That is your negative control. That is your water. That's your control. I'm sorry, that's your water. So let's see here. Okay, there we go. That was with the dihydroxide, and there you are. Okay, so write those into your table. Oh, come on out. Oh, put it back on the shelf. All right, so you'll want to write these into the table. And so which was the most effective buffer? The most effective buffer would have been between, well, here, this water was your control. So you're determining which was a better buffer, the sodium dihydrogen phosphate or the sodium hydrogen phosphate. And how you know which is the better buffer is which one was there the least change in pH after adding the hydrochloric acid. Was it this one or this one? So you want to write that in, answer this question, and that is your lab. So in a real lab, we would do all the cleanup and all that. So what you want to do is once you have these filled out, the tables as well as the questions, you want to submit that to the submission link. All right, so until next time, enjoy everyone. Enjoy your day. Take care. Bye.